Unlike everybody else, I'm going to be on script today. I wish that I could do the humor that Debbie did, but my husband didn't express like Dean and never admitted to having the disease. He hasn't had language skills for over 5 years, but sometimes he's able to say something. And he went up to one of the aides a couple years ago and said, "How do you live to be 100?" And he's shown that he really wants to be alive. I say that it's lucky he's not a cat because he has more than 9 lives. We're showing family pictures, so go ahead and watch those as I'm speaking. My name is Carol, and I've been a caregiver for my husband, Alan, for the past 16 years. I have helped Alan in all aspects of daily living, kept him safe from wandering, and made difficult decisions during each new crisis, always trying to anticipate what might come next. I mourn each loss, and I am tired. Through advocacy, I find hope. I am a face of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a black cloud that is all-encompassing. It affects not only our loved ones with the disease, but our entire family. And it has taken a toll on our family in so many ways. So today, I will share with you our journey and how I try to keep my spirits alive. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Alan. Alan is in the end stages of Alzheimer's at age 66. For the first 50 years of his life, he was a thriving business owner, leader in the community, loving father, friend to many, an accomplished champion in track and field. By age 50, he became forgetful. His personality changed. He was losing the ability to run the company he built with his brothers and trying his hardest to cover it up to salvage his dignity. Even with Alan's personality changes, bursts of anger, and verbal abuse, it took my brother-in-law Bobby's diagnosis for me to realize that Alan too had Alzheimer's with a PS1 mutation. I felt sick to my stomach and couldn't sleep through the night for about a year. My mind raced with so many thoughts. I knew I would lose Alan, but what about my 3 kids? How could I protect them and prevent this disease from destroying our family? I didn't know how much more I could endure. How could I fight this disease? I also wondered how long Alan would last because I couldn't wait till it was over. I didn't realize how Alan's disease had impacted my physical and mental health until my doctor informed me that my friends and family were worried about me, which gave me the wake-up call I needed. It was then that I realized the importance of reaching out, requesting support, and fighting back the only way I could. By joining a support group, I learned to focus on what Alan could do instead of what he couldn't. I found it easier to enjoy each day with a renewed hope and spirit for finding the pleasure in the little things and moments of presence, love, and connection. My way of fighting back was through advocacy. I wrote letters and went to speak with members of Congress, both in Minnesota and Washington, D.C., and told our family story. I have been to Washington the past 9 years and want you to know that we are making progress and our voices are definitely being heard. As strong an advocate as I've been, it's impossible to express the stress that an Alzheimer's caregiver faces daily. I've tried to avoid stress by planning ahead and trying to anticipate what transition would come next. However, even though I can be mentally prepared for change and realize that the change is coming, I'm never emotionally prepared when it happens. After a crisis occurs, I cry, mourn each loss, and then try to figure out what changes I need to make for the next new normal. But for all of us, normal means living with uncertainty and adapting. Remaining flexible is key, but it's impossible to avoid the stress. I tried to keep Alan as involved in our lives as possible until we hit roadblocks. When it came to making decisions on whether to include Alan, I had trouble with the concept of who was I doing it for, Alan or me. Will he have success or will it be too much for him? And what penalty I was willing to pay for the reward of being together. When Alan moved into a care home, my role as his caregiver didn't abruptly end, it just changed. Alan has now been at the home for over 5 years and is receiving wonderful care, and I have stopped looking ahead because I can't go there. Transitions are more difficult for me to accept and have caught me more off guard. It's becoming more and more difficult for me to watch Alan's decline and dealing with the ambiguous loss of the reality that he is both here and gone. As a caregiver, I still go through waves of being okay and not as okay, and I never know when these waves will hit or for how long. When 2 of my friends lost their spouses to early onset Alzheimer's, I was thrown for a loop. I went into a state of mourning. During the previous 13 years, I was so worried about my kids' chances of getting Alzheimer's that I hadn't processed how this disease robbed Alan and me of our once beautiful relationship, celebrating family events, sharing the joys of the birth of grandchildren, and growing old together. I think one of the hardest aspects of Alzheimer's is facing just how long, exhausting, lonely, and tiring the journey is. However, unlike in the beginning, I'm not ready for the end, and live for the moments when Alan makes a connection and gives me a warm and loving smile. Beyond the emotional, physical, and financial burden that families struggle with, Diane families have the added burden of worrying about our children, supporting them when they make difficult decisions whether or not to find out their gene status, questioning whether to have children and possibly passing on the mutation or not having children, and living with the fact that as a caregiver, we might need to help care for the next generation, our own adult kids. So how am I doing at keeping my own spirit alive? I can't say that Alzheimer's hasn't taken its toll on me, both emotionally and physically, but feeling that my soul and memory are diminished. I haven't even begun to mention how much I miss Alan. However, through this journey, I've learned so much about myself, stepped out of my comfort zone, and feel that I'm a better person. I'm fortunate to have a wonderful support network of friends and family, and my kids are a great source of strength. 2 of them are here today with me. Best of all, my poodle Bashan pup, who gives me emotional support and reminds me to start each day with a good morning. I find hope and strength in participating in research and in advocacy. I would encourage all of you to speak openly about the disease and share your stories, as our collective and unified voices will make a huge difference and help to ensure that those of you living in your 20s and 30s will live to have memories of your children and grandchildren. Alzheimer's chaplain Ron Helmer wrote, "Finding the good in a bad situation takes more than just outward strength. It takes the wholeness that comes when body, mind, and spirit work together." Thank you.